Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 115. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Vanessa Shaw, an international business and a successful coach, wealth mentor and inspirational speaker. Her mission and passion in life is teaching entrepreneurs and leaders how to step up, be bold and play bigger in their business and personal lives. Hello Vanessa.
Hey, good morning. Well, I know it's afternoon over there, but good morning from over here in the States.
Hello. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Yeah, I think it's a great backstory because I was a stay-at-home mum, Patience. I gave up my career. I was actually living in Switzerland, where I had been working for the United Nations for several years. I wanted to have a family. My husband was also working at the UN, and I gave up my career to be a career mom. I spent nearly 10 years at home with my children. I call myself a chief domestic officer back in those days. And then I knew that I wanted to reinvent myself. I wanted to do some sort of work, but when you've spent 10 years at home, I certainly felt pretty unemployable. And I always had this dream of starting up my own business. And I just knew two things, that I wanted to be my own boss and have that level of independence. And the business just needed to make a positive impact. I honestly didn't know a lot more than that at the time. But that took me into the journey of training as a personal coach back then. And that was really then I got, totally passionate and intrigued by the whole business of coaching, immediately took on clients. And before I knew it, I had landed myself a big corporate deal as a performance coach, as an executive coach. And my business actually took off very rapidly in the early days. So I kind of feel like I was one of the lucky ones. I was in the right place at the right time, I had a skill set that I could adapt. And so that felt really great. I want to sort of follow that up by saying, I started well, and then there was my big rocky moment, which is, several years into that, I lost that contract. It was a big, 6-figure plus contract, and I had other coaches working for me at that point, and found myself nearly heading for bankruptcy, and realizing that there were an awful lot of things that I hadn't learned about growing a business. And I'd sort of built my own business inside of another business, so to speak. It's like I had one major client. So I was very vulnerable. And that really put me on the path to the work that I do today, which is I had to really discover what it meant to grow a sustainable, profitable, healthy business that would be able to have a bigger impact. And by, sort of losing that opportunity, I had to dig deep within myself and build new skill sets and build my own business up again. And when people saw me building up my own business again, they became curious and would say, how are you doing this? And I realized then that I actually had a new market to tap into, which was actually helping other people grow their business.
Wow, what a journey. Okay. What is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
Gosh, most dangerous. Honestly, I think there's a ton of them. I think thinking it's going to be easy is a really dangerous belief. And many marketeers actually market to that belief because they know that if you think it's going to be easy, you're likely to sign up with their product. And people do think that certainly for an online business, they see the millions of people that are online, that it's a very busy place, and they think that if they've got one great thing, that numbers of people are going to sign up for it, and they quickly do their calculations, and see themselves becoming millionaires overnight. And that, I think, is a very, very dangerous and misguided belief, to have. And I would certainly follow that up probably closely with this whole notion, if I'm just passionate about what I do, the money will follow, like the business will naturally build itself. And I know an awful lot of people that are very passionate about what they do, and yet they're still completely struggling to grow their business because they're two completely different skill sets.
Why do you do what you do?
So for me, I'm just, on a bigger mission now. I mean, it's evolved over time, in all honesty. When I first started out, I wanted a new challenge. I wanted to bring some money into my household. I wanted to, just have some fun money and lifestyle money for me, because I'd been a stay-at-home mom and I was, very dependent on my husband and his income. Now the goals have changed. And I've seen that there is just so much struggle inside the small business world. A lot of people that are passionate, that want to make a difference, and they don't know how to build a business. And I know that if I am able to help those people be more successful, then I get to have a much bigger impact in the world through them. So that's for me. There's multiple levels of why I do what I do, but a big one is impact, and I'm very committed to particularly helping women in business end what I call the financial and emotional roller coaster that many of them are on, because it's so disempowering and it just doesn't help them to have the impact that they want to have.
Okay. Let's put man aside. How did you know you were successful?
I kind of don't want to put it aside too much. And the reason I'd say that is I do think as women, we have to see that the amount of money that is being made in a business is a solid metric. And I think we kind of get, at times we shy away from that, and we want to think of other measures, and there are other measures, and I'm going to certainly speak to those. But ultimately, one of the things that I do say is when we're looking at the amount of income that's being generated in a business, it is a reflection of the amount of people, of clients that you are actually serving. So that's a way of measuring impact, right? So I think that that's really, it is an important metric, and I very transparently share that it's a metric that I struggled with for a long time. It was something I didn't want to look at, and I avoided, and I would use all sorts of other words. Then the other measure for me of success is time, freedom, and really being able to have, run a successful business, but being able to do it on my terms, doing the work that I love, with the people that I love, in the way that I love, in the destinations that I love. So for me, that's, a sense of freedom that I have in the business. And, I think, my levels of joy, I know, of course I have a tough day like everybody else does. And there's days I often laugh with my own community and say, I call it a Starbucks day, where I say, oh my gosh, it would be so much easier to work in Starbucks right now and just just make coffees than do this business. But the truth is, I have so few of those days compared to previously when I was working and other things that I've been involved in. So that for me is a big measure of success. And it's a measure, a massive measure of success, which is probably one of the most important ones to me of all, is just the feedback we get from our clients in real results, real changes that they experience, life-changing through their businesses. So those for me are always those wonderful golden moments.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
I'd love to know what you think about that question, Patience. Honestly, I'll answer it. Somebody else asked me that recently on an interview, and I actually think most people should not be an entrepreneur. I think most people are not cut out for it. And I think there's a lot of illusion around what it takes to be successful in business. Online business is, particularly tricky and difficult. There's a lot of technology involved. So if somebody's really not, heavily into technology, that's going to be a challenge. it's a very crowded space online as well. So getting noticed means you've got to have really great marketing skills and a brand that stands out. But more than that, I think there's those are skills that I think most intelligent people can get their head around if they're willing to, devote time and energy to. But for me, it's the inner journey of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And I think most people don't realize that there's going to be a lot of rejection, a lot of having to go deeply within and become very self-aware and understand yourself and change yourself from the inside out, and change whole belief systems and assumptions and how you're showing up in the world. And most people, I believe, just often aren't ready or willing to really go there. They kind of think it's going to be easy. And then the minute they start to hit roadblocks, which typically is that they either start to run out of money or they find themselves being burnt out. I mean, those are the two classics that put people out of business. It's often because they really haven't had they haven't gone through that inner journey.
Right, you've been in a business for a while now. Do you have a mentor or a coach for yourself?
Always. I have never been without a business mentor or coach or several at any time. So I believe it's really crucial to surround ourselves with good people that are ahead of us on the journey that we want to be on, that will challenge us, challenge our mindset, challenge us to think bigger, that have got skill sets that can help us. And I also believe that if I'm expecting people to invest in, themselves through my business and my services, I have to be a good role model for showing that, I'm willing to do the same and frankly, considerably more.
What is the most valuable thing your mentor has told you?
Gosh, what is the most? Again, I could just come up with, I've been in this business now for, over 12 years. So that's a lot of mentoring, But actually there was one that actually really does stand out. And this is quite some years ago. And it was at a time when I was doing a lot of personal work on myself with him. And he was just an amazing coach and mentor for that. And I revealed that I really was very serious about growing a big business that had a big impact, and wanting to take it over $1 million. This wasn't just a hobby or a fun project. And I think one of the greatest gifts that he gave to me was so honestly at that point to say, it's been a pleasure to work with you, Vanessa. And now you need to actually find yourself a new coach to work with, who can really hold you to that standard and who can really help you. And he said, because you've got ambitions that are way beyond what I do in my own coaching business. And I'm therefore, I feel like I'm just not the right person for you anymore. And I think that was just, frankly, it wasn't even advice. I mean, we agreed that we'd come to the end of our relationship there. But what it taught me was so much, and I hold him in such high esteem for that conversation, because it really taught me about being in service of your clients first and foremost, and not your own bank account. I would have gladly probably signed up for another 6 months or 12 months with him, and he could have taken it. But instead, he was really, really thinking about me and my journey and what was most important. He was being honest about, his own limitations and where he did and didn't want to work. And then it really taught me that it was going to be so important for me to not just hire any coach, and then, anybody can call themselves a coach these days, but really people that are ahead of me on that path that I wanted to be on.
Wow. What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
Most, as in a thing, or
anything in business, in a life? Anything.
Gosh, what have I ever given away?
What is so important, is so dear to you?
Give me an example of something that my mind's kind of going all over the place as to what that even might be. What's an example in your mind of something that we give away?
You've been in business for 12 years. You do it every day.
Well, I guess we have to we need to define what you mean by giveaway. I mean, I give advice and guidance the whole time.
Is that
So what do we
is that valuable to you? If I came to you, Vanessa, in your coaching program, or I met you on the airport because you travel to and fro, and I'm like, oh, can I just talk to you? I have these things. What do you think?
So I would gladly do that. You know, I do a lot of free stuff. I do a lot of free online, videos and trainings and everything. I don't give away stuff unnecessarily free of charge, because one of the things that we've noticed is, if we give away too much stuff for free, people actually don't value it. So that's certainly a lesson we've learned over the years. And I think you probably know that for yourself, patients. You have friends that will ask for advice and you give them advice and then you see them doing exactly the opposite. So, I think, yes, over the years, if we're looking at giving away stuff for free, unconsciously, I've certainly made those mistakes a lot in the past and probably being too generous. And then wondered why things didn't work out for me, right, and didn't come back in the way I had hoped. And then started to realize that actually we've got to be a little bit more strategic and mindful in what we give away, because I know that what we teach, the knowledge that I have, the experience that I have, what we're teaching our clients is truly life-changing, business transforming as well. But on the receiving end, people need to be invested, time, energy, and resources for that to be really valuable and for them to get those results.
Wow, thank you. What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
Determination springs to mind. I made a decision a long time ago that I was going to be successful. And that determination was, it's non-negotiable. I had that very clearly defined in my mind as to what it looked like. I knew why that was important to me. And so that determination of doesn't matter that there are tough days. As I said, there were plenty of days when I had my Starbucks moments, but it was always remembering, my decision and why I was doing what I was doing, and just that determination to, keep re-examining, keep learning, keep moving through, really not it's not giving up. And I think that's been, I know that even today, a lot of people will say that, wow, you're very focused, you're very determined. My husband would definitely describe me, he uses that word as well. And I think it's been a strength that's, really, really helped me a lot. And it's like I know I can figure it out and, keep moving forwards. And I have been able to.
Wow. Tell us about your boutique business school.
Yes. So the Boutique Business School was founded a few years ago. We, as we're working with business owners over here, one of the things that we've realized is, and certainly for our own business model, is it's a lot easier and honestly a lot more fulfilling to grow a business when you're working with ideal clients. And, when we call them in our business, we refer to them as champagne clients, but these are really the people that will they'll get great results. They will partner with you for your advice or your guidance, right? They trust you. They see you as that trusted advisor. They're willing to invest time, energy, and resources, to get the results that they want to. And they're typically clients as well. They show up well. They don't come with excuses. I'm not saying that they don't have challenges, because everybody has challenges, but they just show up with that sort of, that determination to succeed and figure things out. And we, unlike a lot of the online business models that are developed around, a low-end product, and let's sell a low-end product to, millions of people to make money, we completely reversed that model on its head and said, instead of trying to serve so many people, what if we serve a fewer people with fewer services, but we create them in a way that they're high end? So it's really like going into, the way to think about this is going into that lovely boutique. I know you're in the UK, and if you ever, big towns have gorgeous boutiques, and it's, London and everything. And just think about, they don't have a ton of products in there. It's often not very cluttered. It's a beautiful environment. You get lovely service. If it's a regular boutique, they know you by your name. It's often a positive experience to go in there. And so this is what we've really created in the business world. So instead of sort of saying that we're going to be the equivalent of the Nordstrom or the Debenhams for the English, listeners here, which is kind of trying to sell everything, and it's very messy, and it, markets to everybody. Like, you can be the boutique. And what that means then is, as what we started to see from our clients is, as their business grew and they would have more and more clients, they would say things like, wow, I am just working a lot harder. It's getting difficult to serve my clients in the way that I want to, because now I've got too many clients. And so that's where we started to, change this model up. So it doesn't always mean, by the way, working with fewer clients. It's the way the business is structured, but it's working with, at the top level, you might be working one-to-one with really your ideal champagne clients, but then structuring your services in such a way that you can serve groups of people as well with those products and services, and perhaps even have, obviously team later on that's doing that work. So it's really a way of reversing that model of low end, switching to high end, and creating what we call a premium client experience.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about your business and how it have shaped your lifestyle wise.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey because, again, when I first started out, it was all about just some, extra pocket money, frankly, and fun money, and a little bit of money to travel. And I was just trying to see if things would work in those early days, as I think a lot of us are. And that kind of surprise when people first paid me, to coach them. It's like, wow, it's a miracle. This, it really does work. Nowadays, we've got what I call like a very highly integrated personal life and business life. My husband came into the business. He's our chief technical officer. Even my daughter, I've got a 16-year-old daughter. She sometimes even helps in the business with videos and some social media, and she's at my live events. She's not obviously full-time in the business, she's at school. But then we've really developed the business so that we can, work from anywhere in the world. So a lot of it was important for me to have that sense of freedom. And I didn't want to feel like I needed to go to an office every day. Like, if I could work in a coffee shop, that was great. If I could work by the side of a pool. I do have a really lovely, beautiful home office that actually I do love to work from, but it's my home office, right? So it's designed specifically for me. And I've been able to, really keep asking myself over the years, because this does evolve, like, what's important to me right now? What are some of those other things that I want to be doing? I got into tennis here a couple of years ago in the States, and I want to be on the tennis courts more often. I want to be taking more lessons and, improving my game there, because I still feel very much a beginner, or kind of like a low intermediate probably. So, constantly asking that question of, what is it that I want? And then building sort of the business around that. So my week is very much structured in a way that enables me to, be on the tennis court at the times that I want to, serve the clients at the times that I want to. I know that when I'm getting my needs met, I just am so much better for everybody, my team and my clients. But as I say, we do have what I call a highly integrated lifestyle, because I don't believe in this, well, we work from 9 to 5. I'm an entrepreneur, and if I was excited about something late last night, and I was on email and responding to something because I was having a great conversation, I don't tell myself, oh my gosh, work-life balance, I shouldn't be doing this. I was like, no, that's where my energy's at, and I want to do it. But another day, I could be on the tennis court, right, for several hours. So it's, I think it's being very flexible in that business model, but it's ultimately asking ourselves, like, what's important to us? What is it that I want at this stage in my life? And then designing the business so that the business supports you in having that.
Tell us a few challenges and obstacles that you have faced while setting up your business.
Again, how long have you got? I mean, there's always a lot of them. One of those big ones in the early days was definitely around money. I wasn't looking at the money side of the business. I just bought into this idea of, I just want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. And again, those things are important. But because I was so bought into that side of things, I wasn't taking care of the financial side. I didn't realize as well that, my own relationship with money back then was fairly dysfunctional. Again, I didn't want to look at it. It was something I didn't really understand. And it took me nearly going bankrupt till I sort of woke up. So that was a massive challenge. I think looking back now, of course, it was an amazing gift because I turned it around and I learned so much in the process. As we grow the team, as we grow the business, growing team is, to support me in the business. There's definitely been some challenges there of, hiring the wrong people, thinking that you've got like a rock star, training my own, like we're training in our own programs this week about, hiring a rock star team. And I was sharing a story of, somebody that I just thought looked so great on paper. I was really excited and, seemed to be saying the right things. But when she showed up in the business, she was really not a fit for our business at all. And I'd love to say I've only done that once, but the truth is I've done that several times. Again, those are those, I think, the challenges of growing and needing to learn those new skill sets and finding out who is important, to the business. It was certainly, we've had challenges around. One of the things I often teach my clients is saying that whenever you're going to up level something, like really make a significant up level to the business, and you kind of said to yourself, I'm ready, let's do this, whatever it is that you want to do, the challenges come. They're always there. And the bigger the leap you want to take, the bigger the challenges. So there was a point where I moved to the States. That was a very big, bold move. We were living in Switzerland. I wanted to pursue my desire to come and build a business in the States, which we did 5 years ago. And I actually came on my own. My husband was finishing out his career back in Switzerland. So I came on my own with 2 kids and needing to get a house and a brand new business off the ground. And I didn't know anybody. And my son, found himself as a teenager just getting into a lot of trouble, really having his own challenges. That was a really, really, really difficult time in our lives that year, massively challenging. And here I was now all on my own, right, at a point where I wanted to pursue a dream. So sometimes those, the challenges aren't necessarily in the business. They can be in our personal lives, but of course they're going to affect the business. And then I think it's ultimately, it all comes down to patients. How do we respond to those challenges? Do we see them as something that's going to, end us and, end the dream? Or do we just see it as it's that new level of leadership that we have to step into? I certainly used to be more overwhelmed by the challenges in the past. And now there's a part of them. If honestly, if we're not having new challenges in the business, you're not growing. If you're just solving the same problem over and over again, then you're not growing. So now I kind of welcome them is perhaps a strong word, because there's days when I obviously go, oh, really? But now I know that if they're new challenges, well, then we really are growing and evolving.
Very quickly, what advice would you give to others who want to be entrepreneurs?
Interview or speak to other entrepreneurs that you admire, that inspire you, and get the real story from them about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Don't, just so that you go into it in a grounded way with your eyes open. If you speak to a lot of different people, anybody that is being successful will tell you about the challenges. Most people that haven't been successful will paint the picture that it's all rosy, right? And it's all easy. But, anybody that's really, had to build a, sustainable business, and they've got a level of success in it, they'll be willing to share with you what those challenges, obviously the highs and the lows, but so that you're not going into it completely overexcited, thinking it's the ticket, like, to freedom. And I think that's a big recipe for disaster. So that's definitely something I would do. Honestly, I do wish that I'd had some of that advice earlier on myself, because there were times when I just sort of thought it was me. There was something wrong with me, and I wasn't figuring things out. And it would have actually been really, really helpful for somebody to have said, no, these are what you're struggling with right now are actually quite classic challenges of the entrepreneur's journey. And then I could have been, okay, now that makes sense. And it's no longer about me, and it's kind of helpful to know that this is normal. And therefore, if it's normal, there has to be a solution.
What are some new and exciting things are you working on so our listeners could benefit from them?
So we're always working on new and exciting things. Our big thing that's coming up is in November. We've got our annual event that's called the Big Bold Event. That's 3 days in Phoenix, Arizona, from the 9th to the 11th of November. And that's 3 days where we're just teaching about business growth and mindset and money and marketing. We have other speakers that are coming on. And we also have, in fact, this year we're doing a retreat in about 2 weeks' time, a luxury retreat just for a handful of women who want to work on themselves. And that's the very first time that we've done that in a gorgeous luxury villa here with private chef and yoga and meditation and me coaching throughout the weekend. So those are a couple of things that's sort of hot on the calendar right now. As I say, I'm also writing a book, so that's another sort of exciting project that I've committed to actually writing a book.
What is the book all about?
Good. I know, right? Question. It's in the early stages, but it is going to be very much about laying out really and truly some of the entrepreneurial journey and the steps that people need to be prepared to go through on that journey. So laying out what some of the challenges will be, where some of the places are that you would need to look at yourself if you really want to break through to that next level of success.
Wow, we can't wait for you once you finish to come here and share with us. So where can we get in contact with you?
Yeah, so the best place is vanessashaw.com. Straight on the website, people can, exchange their email address there for some free goodie on the website, and then that way you'll get some, lots of free trainings and hear about what we're up to. The other place as well is we actually have a Facebook group that we've just started on Facebook that's called Bold Women in Business. So again, if you are a woman that's listening, that's got a big goal of, really turning your vision and your passion into, profitable business, that's a great place to be. It's all brand new. We're going to be doing a lot of training in there and free resources. So another good place to connect.
So, Clan, there will be more from Vanessa in a moment. If you are finding Vanessa's journey interesting and you are ready to hear more, come and listen to the full version of the interview at onlinesuccessjourney.com. If you are on Online Success Journey already, click on part 2 of Vanessa's journey and you'll get lots of great tips to help you with your own personal and business growth. And don't forget, you can access all other Online Success Journey interviews podcasts on the site as well. That's a wrap, Clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Vanessa.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.